Yeah.
We were just talking about that, but eating to take medicine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should probably take some iron while I'm sitting here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's your mom doing?
She's doing good. She's doing good. In fact, she's dealing with our dog right now. Our dog had puppies early this
Oh,
morning.
okay.
So she's got that to deal with.
Did you know Mother Willis?
Mother Willis?
Uh-huh.
I don't recall.
Okay. Well, your mom would know her. She was a district missionary for
Uh-huh.
all over 50, 60 years. You know,
Uh-huh.
she's 96. She passed away yesterday at 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she was 96. Yeah, my wife's godmother.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I wouldn't know.
yeah, she was Bobo's district missionary for all the years he was the superintendent. And
Oh,
before
really?
that, she was the district missionary for a couple of other superintendents. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, she was put on hospice about 4 5 months ago,
Mhm.
and she passed away yesterday. Yeah, but she lived a good life. She was sharp
90.
almost to the end. Yep.
Yes, that's a good long while. Was so you said she died yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Yep. 96. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
That- She was, she
They
was a
said,
real
but he died what, Monday or Tuesday?
who that?
James Earl Jones.
Who did? Oh yeah,
James.
James Earl Jones. Yeah, that was Monday. Sunday or Monday. Monday, I think. Yeah, Monday. Yeah. Darth Vader.
That was Mufasa for me.
And yeah, and he was Mufasa. He was the voice of Mufasa too.
That was Mufasa for me. That was my first introduction to him.
Okay. Yep. He had the voice, the deep voice. James Earl Jones. Yep. Well, all right. Well, it's three of us here, so we're gonna get started. And let's have a word of prayer. Father, thank you for your goodness, your kindness, your mercy. Thank you for your bountiful many blessings. We thank you for keeping us and watching over us. We pray now for the comfort for the Willis family and her church family, Faith Temple in San Francisco, the Cotton family, all of those who were connected to her in her life. Continue, oh God, to comfort us and give us strength. We thank you for the time that you gave her to us, and we thank God for blessing her and for the condition of her soul. Now, bless now this time we come to sharing thy word. We would ask that you would allow our hearts and minds to become good ground, that we would receive the seed of thy word, and then bring forth good fruit unto good measure. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
Amen.
I've been really hearing, man, a lot of stuff going on. An interesting thing is I'm finding that more and more I hear people trying to make justification for their own positions or interpretations of scripture rather than accepting or seeking the revelation. I like to just err on, and I don't call it caution, but I say on the side of being intelligent by simply saying, what does the Bible say about
Hmm.
it? I don't think it's necessary for us to argue the Bible or argue, what it says or what other people think it says. The Bible is right by itself. Doesn't need any help. It really doesn't need a cosign. If it says it, it says it. But I've been hearing a lot of people come up with excuses. And on both sides of that coin, on the one side, you hear people who simply teach what they were taught or by tradition but it doesn't match with what the Bible says. I know, and I'll give you an example. I know a preacher right now. He's as zealous as they come. Uh, he believes, in all of the how should I put this? The antics of the spirituality and the Pentecostalism and shouting and dancing, and they think they ain't had church unless they hooped and hollered and jumped all over the place. But yet he has this big production during the resurrection celebration that they call Easter, and he has the bunny rabbits and the eggs and all of the stuff that represents the paganism aspect of it, and he doesn't see where it's wrong, uh, or and I only my response is always, well, what does the Bible say, and how does that represent what we're supposed to be really celebrating? It's very difficult. I have gathered to get people to see the truth of of what the Bible teaches, what God says, and I see it more and more now because people are straying away from the truth of the word and dealing more in how I feel about it. What's your experience about
that. What's our experience? Was that last part?
About regarding people and how they miss the Bible, following tradition.
Well, my experience has been pretty much similar to yours, I guess, especially in regards to like what do you call it? Like Christmas or Easter or participating in Halloween or
yeah.
There's other holidays that are on calendars. It just depends what calendar you get. Like you look at the Jewish holidays, those all represent the traditional but also appointed holidays. They weren't just like, oh, we just came up with this.
Right.
It was, the Lord, said, for when to celebrate certain things and what to do, but it was for remembrance, That's
right.
What those holidays were for remembrance and putting in remembrance of him.
Right.
I guess just some places you go to, like, okay, let's take Christmas, for example. How I feel about our family likes to decorate.
Yeah.
I think that's just for, it's fun. It's, whatever. But I find more and more that we are making sure that we're focusing on Jesus and, we're not just, doing, because I usually either write or go over another play that I've written already for Christmas for our church. And, it's like, it's never, there's Santa Claus and Rudolph or whatever, unless it's just, a joke or, it's just kind of made light of because it's not really the whole point of the play or whatever. But for the most part, it's all Jesus. We see Jesus somewhere at the end of it, somewhere stemming from it. And so,
right.
But people now, when they go to celebrate these holidays that we traditionally celebrate, you got to see, okay, so how are you acting when you're in the process of celebrating, whether you're decorating or you're cooking or you're coming together? You think about even just like our national holidays. Why do people come together? And, some of them just see it as a day off or see it as a day to just get drunk or just go eat and have parties or whatever. And but when it comes to these holidays are supposedly supposed to celebrate God, they do the same thing. And and the result is, you still have just the same amount of fights, amount of brawls, people being ungrateful, kids being disrespectful, um, you know, the avarice, the hubris that comes out of some of these holidays and amongst supposed Christians is, appalling. So that's been my experience, what I've observed anyway. Not really closely related in my circles of people that I know and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, the people that I talk to and I know, they're trying more and more every year to get, distance themselves from the commercialism, from just, all the hubbub, trying to keep it simple, trying to just, be at peace and, remembering what Jesus did. Whether he's, supposedly Easter, we call it Resurrection Sunday at my church, or, Christmas, and then any holiday in between that may even reference Jesus,
And I think people of my generation, I'm saying my generation, like younger people, even uh, Christmas and Christmas, Easter, everything that's supposed to be like a thanking God type of thing, or thanking because it's Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Christmas.
we don't. It's not funny, but I'm laughing because it's like, for real, like you don't get the name. But anyway, we know what it is supposed to represent, but we do not represent it. We so wrapped up in buying gifts and saying it's from Santa Claus and that kind of thing, that kind of thing. Not saying that, the decorating thing, that's okay, but like saying the gifts is from Santa Claus, and we like go because that's how I grew. Like that's what we were taught when we was growing up too.
Right.
We have turned it into nothing. Like it means it's really nothing. Like it's like you celebrate your birthday, not his birthday.
Yeah, it's become very commercialized.
Yeah, it's like it's not. It don't mean anything as far as when it comes to for these kids. As far as when it comes to knowing the Lord type of thing. It doesn't.
Right.
All they thinking about is what they getting for Christmas, and they don't care whether it's from. They know it's from you, but they just going along with you talking about it's from Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, see, my parents did not tell me that.
So where do Jesus come in that in that in that mindset? It doesn't. He doesn't. And so they not thankful for nothing nowadays. These kids, they don't know the top from the bottom. I wanted to say something else, but you know what I mean. they don't know nothing about nothing.
Anything comes down to
little boy.
They put more emphasis on their what they call their gift list. What you want for Christmas. And I remember the first time my oldest daughter, she asked why I wasn't, because in '87, that was the last time I bought gifts. And she asked me that Christmas, but Dad, why you ain't buy no gifts? And I asked her, I says, Lay, when is your birthday? You know my birthday? I say, yes, I do. But tell me, when is your birthday? Dad, you know my birthday? I said, yep, I know. But tell me, when is your birthday? So then she told me her birthday. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. You want me to buy you a Christmas gift? Here's what I'll do. Since it's not your birthday and I'm buying a gift for you, I said, whose birthday do they say they celebrating for Christmas? She said, Jesus. I said, okay. But since it's not your birthday, but you want me to buy you a gift on his birthday, then on your birthday in June, I'm gonna buy everybody a gift but you. Uh-uh, uh-uh. Because I always did something big for her birthday. And she, no, Dad, no. I said, well, you want something big for on somebody else's birthday. So why don't I? And I said, but you're not asking for anything for the one whose birthday you celebrated. So if that's the case, then I'll treat you like you're gonna treat him.
Mm-hmm.
She never asked me for a Christmas gift again.
Yeah, our parents
Yeah,
for a couple years, we're grown. They'd give us these envelopes and say, give it to somebody else in need.
yeah,
Now, that is a way of giving a gift to Jesus because he said it, a couple times about,
take care of the
you
needy. Yeah,
like when did we do this? When you gave to the least of these, when you went and did this, when you went and did that for somebody else who needed it. So,
right.
that's when our parents are giving us a gift to give to somebody else, it's not really our gift so much as we just get a blessing out of it.
Right.
But and then giving up your time and whatnot, there should be more of that,
Mm-hmm.
as far as you saying that you're Christian and you're celebrating Christmas, you're celebrating Jesus. So, what's the best way to celebrate him? Well, you want to reach him, there you go. It's
Yeah.
the people out there, and some
You
people
get
think that, it's all money, but it's not.
No. And
It's
you
he
some,
and
get
he
these
said,
kids, you get these kids that some money to give to somebody, they gonna go spend it, and you don't know what happened to that money.
yep. And he said when you
Because they
give
don't
to
have no respect nowadays.
no, he said when you give to the least of my little ones, you're giving it unto me. That's
mm-hmm.
the best way we can give to him is to be a blessing to someone else who has a need. Um,
You know what I noticed? I'm not in the best of, like, in finance. Like, I'm not the best in I'm poor. I ain't got no money. But the more I give, I end up getting something back. Either way it go. The more I give, like, I help people out. Even though I know I don't have it, I help people out. But
right.
it seemed like the more I give out, I end up getting it. I'm not saying I'm getting back like a lot of money back, but I still get it back some way, one way or another. And it's not no illegal nothing. I just somehow just keep getting it back. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so the more you do for other people, and from the kindness of your heart, not because you expect something back.
Yep.
I feel like you will get your rewards in the end, whether it's on earth or after you die. Regardless, I feel like I'm gonna receive something better in life.
Yeah. And
Or
and
yeah.
and the thing is, most most people who give without looking for anything back, they receive it more bountifully than those who give with the intent. Oh, I'm gonna give this because I'm expecting God to bless me. I,
Mm-hmm.
I I've learned that if you don't have that attitude, oh, He blesses you a whole lot and in ways you don't even think of. Whereas when
Yeah.
you do it to get something, it's like don't nothing come because you had the wrong motive, the wrong
Mhm.
intent.
And it's not even just you thinking God gonna give it back. You doing stuff, if you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart, like you do something for somebody and you be like, you better, now you want to fight or argue with somebody about them not giving you your money back, or you owe me, or you want to talk about them because they did something for you. I mean, you did something for them. That kind of thing
Right.
never is not from the kindness of your heart. It's like it's
Yeah.
something else. I don't know how to the
It,
word
it,
and
it
exactly.
doesn't remunerate as when you just give it freely. Freely give,
Right,
freely
right.
receive. Freely receive, freely give. And he even told us that when we say helping people, he said, lend expecting nothing in return. My
mm-hmm.
Mm.
father used to always uh, tell us, he says, if someone asks you to borrow something, he says, if you can't afford to not get it back, never lend it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you
I,
lend it,
I was taught that too.
don't expect it back. And if it comes back, that's just a blessing. But
Mhm.
give it because they need the help, and don't go around. You know, you borrowed so and so from me. You know, and he said, don't ever do that, because if you attach yourself to it, you'll ruin a friendship over something that's not even worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
and he was so right about that. Just give it
Mm-hmm.
and forget it. You know.
Yeah. I've known people who've said, and they meant it, pay me back when you can. You don't
Yeah.
get no pounding from it. You don't get, because I don't think, I'm not saying, obviously everybody's going to say, oh, you don't have to pay me back. Because some people say that and that's not what they mean. And you can tell because then it kind of, they think they're sly, trying to, like bring it up or whatever in the conversation. You're like, okay, you want that back, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, they want that back. They
Some
want it back.
people, you,
Trust me.
you say that, yeah. They say
And
Yeah, they
pay
want
back.
that back.
sometimes you lend people money out the kindness of your heart, and the kindness ain't on the other side, and it's people get to use it, trying to use you and stuff. So then
Mhm.
you need to know when to stop that too.
Yeah, we had an older cousin, and his name was Wilbur. Wilbur, Wilbur Angelo. And Wilbur would always tell family when they would call it, and ask them to borrow money. He says, "Don't ask me to borrow the money." He says, "Just ask me to give it to you. Because if you borrow it, I'm looking for it back. But if you ask me to give it to you," he says, "and I give it to you, that means I can afford it. I'm not looking for it back. If you pay me back, that's fine. But don't tell me you borrowing it, because then I'm gonna look for it back. And if you don't give it back, I'm gonna be angry." And that's what he would do. He would never lend family money. And a lot of times I found out most of the people that he did help, they always gave him his money back when they got it. But
Hmm.
those, and
Because
because he would
you
just
need
tell them.
that person again.
Yeah, because they knew if you needed it, Wilbur was going. I mean, he wouldn't even bat an eye. He wouldn't blink. If you told him you needed some money or for something, you had to pay a bill, you had to buy some food, or just he reached in his pocket, handed it to you, and he was gone. He didn't never bother you about your money or anything,
And that's
But
what's wrong with people verbiage right now. How do you say that word? What I'm trying to say? Verbiage.
verbiage,
Yeah.
yeah,
So they the thing is when you the first thing come to people's mind is ask to borrow. Even though
right.
you know you don't want to borrow. That's the safest way to ask for money without people saying no.
Yep, yep,
And so they instantly say that, not like, and it's because I was telling my daughter that the other day about my dad. I said, quit asking him to borrow something. Ask him, can he give you something? Because you ain't got no money to pay him back.
really, and you obligate yourself. It's like if you go and get money on credit, then you get mad. I used to always laugh when people would get mad about their cars getting repossessed, or they get a notice that their credit card was canceled, and they get mad about it. I'm going, why are you upset with them? Because they act like
You
you don't
signed
care
up
nothing
for
about
it.
people. Like people need help, and people ain't always got nothing. Yeah, but why'd you borrow it then?
Yeah, you
You
signed
know,
up for it.
yeah, I need my car to get to work. Then you should have paid the car note instead of going out last week, instead of taking that vacation, instead of spending all that money down at the dollar store. You should have paid your car note. And
Mhm.
they don't think about it then, but the people are always being unfair to them because they call them on their responsibility. You're supposed
Right.
to be responsible. You make a bill, pay it. You know, um, one of the toughest things, and when I would teach the credit class, I'd always tell them the first class I would tell them, you made an agreement, you borrowed the money with the promise to pay it back. Now, your credit score is a reflection of you keeping your word. You're not going to fix it overnight because you didn't mess it up overnight. It's like people who want to lose 50 pounds, go on a diet for a week and get mad because they lost 2 pounds. Well, it took you more than a week to put that 50 pounds on.
You don't want to lose those 50 pounds in a week. That means you sick.
Right, you're right.
There you go. And that's the other thing, that part. You lose it that quick, something's drastically wrong with you.
That's what happened to me. I was 230 pounds. I lost I want to say it wasn't a week. It wasn't that kind of time. It was months. But still, I lost like 100 and some pounds. And I go to these classes for diabetes. Everybody overweight. And I'm sitting over there skinny and they trying to tell me how to eat. I ain't trying to eat. I ain't trying to lose no
weight. And that don't work for everybody.
And I'm 2 pounds already. What I'm gonna lose?
Yeah. Because it didn't help me. I lost 63 pounds and I still have to take the medication. Some people it works.
Yeah, I'm 124 now and I still got to take the medication.
Yep.
It's more diet change than weight loss.
That's what it is. That's exactly.
They send me meals now for my diabetes, but
Yep.
I be ultra hungry. I be like, oh no. I be sitting there, am I losing weight, gaining weight? Not really. I don't know. I ain't been a small since I was a teenager. I'm a small, for sure.
Yeah, so, but I digress. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that from your earlier statement, your question, I think we went like all the way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we went left.
But I just think it's interesting that people, they get so uptight when you ask them just a simple question like, is this really celebrating Jesus? Like, how does this pertain to Jesus? And sometimes you're not trying to be, impertinent or anything. You're just like, okay, I'm just wondering, what do you see? Where do you see Jesus in there? I'd like to know,
Yeah.
And not to be argumentative or, whatever, but just to start a discourse and just a dive into, well, what are we really doing, And there's some people who are willing to have that conversation. In fact, I find more people outside of the circles of church people that I'm usually around are not as willing, but some of them are. But then you find more people on the outside who are kind of like, they're wondering, but they don't want to ever broach the subject because they think people are going to think they're just trying to be impertinent or something, but they're not. They just would like to know. So more people would like to know, but they're just, everybody gets caught up in the hubbub of each holiday.
I remember the year I took over, 2000, as the pastor of Pentecostal House of Truth, and it was in January, and I forget who it was, but they were telling me, don't go in there, because I had been teaching since '87 about the so-called Christian holidays, and they were saying, now you didn't become pastor of that church now, don't go in there, just go in there and change everything. Well, I had been the assistant though there for 4 years, no, 2 years then. But first meeting I had with the church, I laid out my plan. I laid out, what we were going to be teaching on and learning. And I talked about the truth about certain traditions that we practice in the church. And when I got to the holidays, and the first one that was coming up was going to be Easter. And when I told them we weren't going to have no more Easter egg hunts, we weren't going to have no more colored boiled eggs and all that stuff, and none of them. You remember the little thing? Now, my brother Sam, he loves those peeps.
Oh, yeah,
the candy rabbits. He loved them peeps.
He ain't got anything.
Well, when I told the church, the older group, all of my seniors, everybody that was 35 and above, and I had quite a few seniors in their 80s, 90s. We had one, she lived to be 28 days short of 100. Another member lived to be 104. But anyway, all the older members were, oh, Pastor, we so glad you finally gonna teach the truth on that. And they were the ones who, was involved in this and getting the stuff for the kids. It was that young group that was upset with me.
Of course.
Hi, ma'am. Is your name Devin?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Devin.
Okay. So I want to ask you, okay, so Easter is about the resurrection, or because it's been a long time since I've been in church, a long time.
Yep.
Easter and I just started coming back, getting back into the studies of the word. Mm-hmm. And some of these holidays, I don't even know what it represents no more.
Easter
I'm like, I mean, of course, well, I felt like I knew Easter was like the resurrection. I know Christmas is supposed to be the birthday.
Yeah.
Yes. But at least the day we celebrate his birth.
It's the day they celebrate.
Yeah. So, but like a lot of these holidays, I'd be like, well, what is this supposed to be for again?
Well, yeah, a lot of the other ones is stuff that we do because it was just traditionally practiced. Some people don't even understand. Now, back in, I want to say it was in 92 or 91, I put together a booklet on the tabernacle, the worship. Well, I started in 87. I actually did my book on it in 90 or 91, and it was on the tabernacle worship, the feast, the festivals, and everything that they represent. The tabernacle of Moses and the tabernacle in the wilderness were all a signification of the work of Christ for the New Testament, but it was modeled by the Old Testament Israelites. And in the tabernacle worship, everything in there represented the whole plan of salvation, the forgiveness of sins, the sacrifice for sins, and all of that. And all of those feasts and festivals, as Devin mentioned earlier, they were for a specific purpose to keep in remembrance in the minds of the people certain acts that God had performed for them, miracles he had performed, and his whole plan of salvation. The difference, they had to have a sacrifice once a year on the Day of Atonement for all the sins, whereas Jesus died once for all the sins of mankind before and after him. So there was only necessary for one sacrifice to be made, whereas back then they had to have one every year. So there's no longer a necessity for that. But when you study all of that history and the historicity of the worship and the church, oh Lord, who is this?
With your knowledge, is Hanukkah a better thing to celebrate than what we celebrate as Christmas, or how did that work?
Okay, now you go back. Huh?
I said Hanukkah isn't any. It just happens to land around the same time, but it happens
at the same time of year. I mean, I know it's a different.
That's the Jewish celebration of a time of year because it followed the last harvest. You remember there were two harvest seasons. One was spring and summer. Then there was the fall harvest, and that was the Hanukkah was the celebration after that, where they were going into the wintertime and they would celebrate all of the blessings that God had blessed them over the year, and they would be preparing for their new year by celebrating all the things that God had done for them in that present year. So, all of these celebrations were for something different. And again, as Devin stated earlier, it was for the purpose of keeping them in remembrance of the acts of God on their behalf.
But it's
Where,
the same God.
yeah, same God. We
Same
do
guy.
we do stuff for other reasons. And what happened, here's how these so-called Christian holidays we have now: Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, all those were added in because Catholicism, which wanted to influence the Christian church, because they were originally, okay,
Go ahead and
just
say
as
it.
I'm using this analogy, just as the Democrats once were the ones who were killing the slaves, and it was the Republicans that was fighting for their freedom. Uh, Catholicism at one time, the Catholic Church was trying to kill off all the Christians because that was the job of Rome. They wanted to kill all of the Jews and the Christians. And in 374 AD, they started the Catholic Church, and their first agenda was, we can't kill these Christians off. Every time we kill off one group, 10 more sprout up. So let's embrace them, and let's take all of our pagan worship and house feasts and festivals and give them Christian names and convince the Christians that we're on their side. So that's how they came up with all these so-called Christian holidays.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's how that came about.
they'll be
Catholicism has been
closely
a negative influence on the church for years. That's how the Protestants or the Protestants came about. And then you have the Orthodox Christian church. So you got those three major factions. You have Orthodox Christianity, you got Catholicism, which is fake Christianity, and then you have the Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what they want because they split up between Lutherans and Calvinists. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. That's just some history you got to go through. And,
Yeah, it's history. That's all it is. But
learn
then what
something.
you and that's why I mainly stick to just telling what is and what the truth is. And then once a person has a foundation, then you can start studying that stuff to better understand it. But if you start off with that, they have you more confused than anything.
Yep.
All kind of confused
All
because
kind of
because my son's auntie tried to get me to be a Jehovah Witness, and I
Oh
was so
Lord.
I was like,
Oh Lord. They
I'm so
really about to
sorry.
mess you up.
They
They're
tried
about to
it,
really
didn't they?
mess you up.
That's one of those conversations you say no thank you. That's all you
Yep.
can say. No, thank you. I appreciate it. No thank you.
I had a friend of mine, when they would come to talk by his house, he would always say, "We have no time. We have no time."
They didn't have time for you, Pastor Vegas.
No, that's what my friend would tell the Jehovah Witness.
Oh, we have no
He'd say,
time.
"We have no time. We have no time." He didn't want to get involved in none of that stuff because they were faithful now by knocking on them doors.
Man.
Oh man. Yes, they were. Well, all right, y'all. Listen, our time is up. I got to get to church for regular Wednesday night Bible study. But anybody have any comments before we sign off for the night?
No.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for coming on. We will be on tomorrow on the round table. Got everything worked out. And we're going to dedicate this whole month of the round table to the memory of Pastor McGee. His daughter is still posting on his Facebook page, so you can go and check some of the stuff out. They had some pictures and photos from the homegoing, the celebration on his Facebook page. But yeah, thank you all for joining. We will be back tomorrow evening at our regular time at 5:00. And we will be on the round table. And I want to thank you all for coming on tonight. I always appreciate this time with you all. And thank you all because it's an encouragement to me that you guys come on and let me run my mouth. All right. God bless you. I love y'all. God loves you and I love you. Ain't a thing you can do about it. So we'll see you all on tomorrow evening.
Good night.